The peaceful atmosphere of a Sunday morning in Kaduna State was shattered yesterday in a way that has left the entire nation in a state of absolute shock and disbelief. While many families were dressed in their finest clothes and heading to their places of worship to find solace and peace, a nightmare was unfolding in the Kurmin Wali community of Kajuru local government area. Imagine the scene. The sun is rising, the choirs are singing their opening hymns, and the congregation is settled into their pews, ready for a day of spiritual renewal. But suddenly, the sound of praise was drowned out by the terrifying rhythmic roar of dozens of motorcycles tearing through the village paths. This was not a passing convoy. It was a coordinated tactical invasion by heavily armed bandits who had one mission: to snatch as many worshippers as possible. The scale of this attack is what makes it truly historic and deeply troubling for the start of 2026. We are not talking about 5 or 10 people being taken from a lonely road. We are talking about over 150 worshippers being led into the thick forest of Kaduna in broad daylight. The details coming out of the area suggest that the bandits were so bold and so organized that they struck 3 separate churches simultaneously. This means they split their forces, surrounding different congregations at the exact same time to prevent anyone from raising an alarm or escaping to the next village. The gist on the ground is that the attackers arrived in military-style uniforms, making some people think at first that they were security officials, until the orders to march were given. Men, women, and even children were forced out of their sanctuaries at gunpoint, leaving behind half-finished prayers and empty Bibles scattered on the floor. As we look at the map of Kaduna, Kajuru has unfortunately become a name that is synonymous with these types of mass abductions. But even for a region that has seen its fair share of tragedy, this Sunday morning raid feels different. It feels like a direct challenge to the government's recent claims that the new security measures are working. Just think about the timing for a second. This massive kidnapping happened on the very same day that an urgent terror alert was being circulated across security circles, warning of high-level threats in Kaduna and Plateau states. It raises a very painful question. If the authorities knew a threat was imminent, how were these bandits able to move in such a large group, attack 3 locations, and disappear with over 150 people without being intercepted? The local residents tried their best to resist, but they were simply overwhelmed by the superior firepower of the criminals, who are reportedly carrying very heavy weapons. This event is even more bittersweet when you consider what happened just 24 hours earlier. On Saturday, there was actually a moment of joy in the state because Father Bobbo Paschal, a beloved priest who had been in captivity for 2 months, was finally released. The Christian community was still celebrating his safe return, thanking God for his life, only to be hit with this massive new abduction the very next morning. It is as if for every one person the security forces manage to rescue or negotiate out, the bandits go back and take 100 more to keep the cycle of fear and ransom money going. If you are finding this update helpful and you want to support our mission to bring you the truth about what is happening in our communities, please take a second to like this video. Your like helps this news reach more people who need to stay informed and vigilant. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. We are working round the clock to track the movement of these hostages and the military's response, and by subscribing, you ensure you never miss a critical update on the security situation in Nigeria. The related talk that is currently setting social media on fire is the international dimension of this crisis. You see, this mass kidnapping happened just as the United States officially designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern regarding religious freedom. This move has sparked a massive debate among Nigerians. Some say it is a necessary step to put pressure on the federal government to protect all citizens regardless of their faith. Others argue that it is a form of international interference that does not solve the root cause of the banditry. But looking at the empty pews in Kurmin Wali today, it is hard to argue that the current strategy is enough. The bandits seem to be operating with a level of confidence that suggests they are not afraid of the patrols or the high-tech surveillance cameras we have been hearing so much about. There is also a growing concern about the ransom industry that is fueling these attacks. Insiders suggest that the bandits are no longer just looking for quick cash, they are looking for massive payouts that they use to buy more sophisticated equipment. Some suspects recently arrested by the security agencies were found with thousands of rounds of ammunition hidden in sacks of grain, showing just how deep the logistics of these terror groups go. The families of the 150 worshippers taken on Sunday are now sitting by their phones waiting for that dreaded call from the forest. They are ordinary people, farmers, traders, and teachers who do not have the kind of money being demanded. The tension in Kaduna is at a breaking point, and the people are asking for more than just condemnation from the government. They want their brothers and sisters home. What makes this story even more captivating is the silence from the top. While the local officials have spoken about resolve and commitment, the families on the ground are seeing a different reality. They see the empty houses, the traumatized children who escaped, and the vast unmanned forests that serve as the bandits' headquarters. There is a sense that the security architecture is always one step behind the criminals. For example, the use of motorcycles has been banned in many parts of the state, yet the bandits still use them in broad daylight to carry out these raids. This suggests that the enforcement of these laws is only affecting the law-abiding citizens while the criminals continue to ride free through the bush path. As we continue to follow this story, we have to ask ourselves, where do we go from here? The government has often talked about community policing and coordinated efforts, but when over 150 people can be snatched during a church service, it shows a massive gap in intelligence. Perhaps the answer lies in international cooperation, not in the sense of interference, but in the need for Nigeria to utilize more technical and military assistance from partners who have experience with this level of crime. The soldiers on the front lines are brave, but they are fighting an invisible enemy that knows the terrain better than they do. The use of drones and satellite imagery needs to be intensified if we are ever to find where these large groups of people are being kept. The atmosphere in Kaduna today is one of mourning and quiet anger. People are starting to organize their own local security groups, but as we have seen in the past, this can lead to even more complications if not properly managed. The gist is that the bandits are now using the hostages as human shields, making it almost impossible for security forces to act without risking the lives of the very people they are trying to save. It is a complex, heartbreaking puzzle that requires a new level of thinking from our leaders in 2026. We need to move away from being reactive and start being truly proactive. We cannot wait for another Sunday service to be turned into a crime scene before we take the security of our religious centers seriously. Before we wrap up this report, I want to hear from you. Do you think the government should negotiate with these bandits to bring the worshippers home safely, or should they launch a full-scale military mission regardless of the risk? And what do you think about the international designation of Nigeria? Will it actually help bring more security to Kaduna, or is it just talk? Your opinions are what drive this channel, so please leave a comment below. We read every single one and we want to know what the vibe is in your community. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now to join our growing community. We are your eyes and ears on the ground, and your support is what keeps us independent and focused on the facts. We'll be staying on this story throughout the week, waiting for news of any rescue operations or demands from the kidnappers. Please stay safe out there, look out for your neighbors, and let us keep the people of Kurmin Wali in our thoughts. I will see you in the next update with more gist and more truth.